Hello there and welcome to another tutorial with Beads Jar. I'm Natalia and today I'm going to take you through a tutorial where I'm going to make this beautiful cuff bracelet. Now this is using a brass bracelet blank and we're using S-Lon cord in this gorgeous blue Serenity colour and then a brick stitch centerpiece with a Swarovski pearl. So let's take a look and see all of the ingredients you're going to need to make this project. So here are the ingredients you're going to need for our S-Lon cord cuff. So first of all, the S-Lon cord. So this comes in a pack of 4 and the name of it is Serenity, and I'm using this cobalt blue colour, and the other colours in the pack are equally beautiful, so you choose the colour that you'd like. Then we're going to use one of these washer connector rings. We're using a Swarovski pearl that's 12mm and its colour is white. The brass domed cuff, so this is a cuff blank that we're going to be covering in the cord. We're going to be using some seed beads from Mayuki, so these are 11/0 and these are galvanized yellow gold. Then we have some 8/0 galvanized gold Mayuki seed beads there. And we also have some Baroque pearls in Mayuki and they are size 6. And then some size 8 galvanized silver Mayuki seed beads as well. You're going to need a few drops of Fevikwik just to secure your S-Lon cord. I'm going to use a size 11 beading needle, and we're also using some Fireline, and this is a crystal colour in £6. And finally, something to cut your Fireline and your cord with, which I'm using the wire cutter, flush cutters. So that's everything you're going to need. Let's get started making the cuff. So we're going to make the center part of our bracelet first of all, and I'm going to begin to do my brick stitch around this washer ring. I use these all the time. They're really great for brick stitching because you're just going to cover it up. So I'm going to take my needle through, and I've got about 1 meter of Fireline on there. And then I'm just going to tie a knot in my Fireline. I'm just going to leave a tail of about 6 centimeters, so I've got enough length to be able to sew back through with it if I need to at the end. So do another overhand knot, do that twice, and that just keeps it in place as you get started. And then you need your tail just to be tucked out of the way. So I'm beginning with these size 11 galvanized gold colored seed beads, and I'm going to load 2 of them up onto my needle, and then I'm going to take my needle up through, so it's coming towards me, but I want to leave those beads on that side. So I'm going to use my finger just to stop them from coming through. And then I'm going to take my needle up through the hole, back through the hole in the first one that is on the one that's next to me. So when I do that, that just keeps it in place. You can see both of them are just standing up on top of the ring. And then all I'm going to do is just keep on picking 1 bead up. So I do 2 because when you go around, when you get to the other side, you can take your thread back down through that end bead and it just tidies it up nicely. And I'm going to show you why in a second. So just taking that thread through, taking the needle back up through my bead, and then you've got them, you can see they're all in a row. Now what happens is you start to get what is known as a thread bridge occurring at the top. So the thread that goes across from one hole to another, and you'll get that as you go all the way around the ring. When you get to the other end, you can see that one won't have a thread bridge. So when you get onto this end, you can take your needle through and that creates a thread bridge. So you have thread bridges all the way around. So you're just going to keep on doing that right the way around the washer ring. Just do it one more time to show you. And then taking your needle back up through the hole and pulling it tight. So you want your tension to be really tight on these. And you're going to take those beads all the way around to the other side, and then you're going to begin your next row. So I'm going to show you what I've done with this washer ring that I started earlier on. and I'm going to show you the different patterns that I've used. So you're using the same process, and you are starting with your size 11 galvanized gold. Then on the next row, you're going to use galvanized silver in size 8. And then you're going to use your size 6 Baroque pearls. So you're using the exact same process. We have more detailed videos on how to do brick stitch, circular brick stitch, and I'll leave one in the show more section so you can see the intricate steps to do that. But for this video, I'm going to go straight to how we complete this little frilly part that's going to be decorative edge to the piece. So at the moment, my thread is coming through the very first bead that I placed in the circular brick stitch. So I'm going to go alongside it. I'm going to take my needle up through the bead here, so that what I want it to do is to come through one of the Baroque pearls like this. Now if your needle's getting a little bit stiff and you can't get it through, just take a pair of chain nose pliers and just help it along. So when we get to here, what we need to do then is to bring in some of the size 11 beads again in galvanized gold and the size 8 galvanized silver. So we're going to take one of the galvanized gold size 11, one of the galvanized silver size 8s, and one of the galvanized gold 11s. And then you're going to take your needle down through the pearl that is to the left of where your thread is coming out. So just pull that and you can see you get this lovely little frilled effect. So now because we're coming down through the pearl, we need to just go across and come up through the pearl to the left. Just try and find the hole with my needle. So we're going to come up. So now we need to go back. We're going to go back down through the one to the right. So again, I'm going to take one of my size 11s, one of my size 8s, and one of my size 11s. And I'm going to take that back through the Baroque pearl to the right. So we're going to take our needle back across and we need to come up to the left. So what you're almost doing is zigzagging. So in one side you're going to be going across, and then another you're going to be going back. So I'll do that one more time. So one of the gold ones, one silver, and then another gold, and then back through that bead alongside it, and then up. So you're just going to do that all the way around until you have completed your complete circle, and then I'm going to show you how we're going to add the pearl into the center. So then we have our completed circular brick stitch piece that is going to be the center point of our cuff bracelet. So you can see this little washer ring, it has this writing on it, or it's got the blank part of it underneath there. That's not terribly important. We're going to be putting a pearl into the center. Now, as you can see, you're going to be able to see that metal if you put it on either side. Now you might prefer to leave it so that you can see that. I personally don't. I wanted to put some beads around it. I wanted to use some of the size 8 galvanized yellow gold beads. And when we put those around that pearl, it's going to really complete the piece. It's going to look really nice in the center. So I'm going to show you how to do the pearl. So we need some of the galvanized yellow gold seed beads, but first of all, to do circular brick stitch around the pearl, we're going to take a length of our fire line, and I've got about 2/3 of a meter on here. I want to have plenty of it. So I'm going to take my needle through the center of the pearl, and then I'm going to leave quite a good length of tail on here. So it's going to be about 6 to 8 centimeters, because we're going to use that just to finish off the end. So you need to be able to have enough to thread your needle back through the pearl. And I'm just tying an overhand knot there. I'm going to tie another one just to keep it in place nice and tightly there. So there we go. Okay, now we have, as you can see, one thread running down the side of the pearl. So we need two to create the thread bridge to start to put our beads around the pearl. So I'm just going to take that thread across and take my needle and take it through the hole in the pearl. So that creates my double thread bridge there, like that. And then I'm going to go down the other side of the opposite side of the pearl, take my thread around and my needle up through the hole there. And then I'm going to go back around again so that we've got two threads on that side, two threads on both sides to create a thread bridge all the way around the pearl. So I always like to do my circular brick stitch in an anti-clockwise direction. That's just me. You can do it in whichever direction you prefer, but that just kind of works with me because I'm left-handed. So I'm going to take my size 8 bead, onto my needle, and I'm going to take that needle underneath both of those threads there, if you can see that, and the thread is staying, the bead is staying on the other side of the thread. I'm going to take my needle back up through the bead there. I'm just putting one on because we're not going to be putting any more beads around the outside. Now, if I was going to be adding more beads to make this a bigger circular brick stitch, I would be putting 2 beads on there, because remember we need to create another thread bridge, but we only need 1 row of beads. So I'm just taking that second bead, taking my needle underneath both of those threads and then coming back up, and then just keep making sure that you keep pulling your thread really tightly, making that very strongly all in alignment, because you want them to sit up on top of the pearl like that. If your excess thread gets in the way, just pull it out of the way, and then make sure that the threads that you've got on either side, you may need to just keep pulling them down, just pushing them down, because what we want to do is to create the beads all the way around. I'll do one more for you and show you. So under both of the threads, and then back up through the hole in the bead. Looks like a little crown, doesn't it, there? But we're going to do it all the way around, and then when you've finished, it will look like this. So let me just take those beads out of the way. So you're going to just make sure that you've got your beads just going, encircling the outside of your pearl like that. It looks like a little ray of sunshine, doesn't it? And that is going into the center of your brick stitch piece that you made earlier. So you can, like I said, you can put it on that side or that side, doesn't matter, because you're not going to see either side of those. I'm going to put it right on top of the writing there. Now I've still got my tail thread coming out here, and what I will do is I'll put a needle on there, and I'll just thread it back through a couple of the threads just to get it out of the way, and which I did earlier actually. So I'm just going to trim it off like that. And then we're going to use the working thread to attach this to the center of the piece. So you can see, you're not going to see that piece of metal underneath. It's going to be completely hidden, but it fits really beautifully with the rest of the pearls and the little golden beads and silver beads here. So take your working thread and just take it underneath. So you're going right through the piece. And then on the back, you can just take it up through that silver bead, up into the Baroque pearl. Like I said, if it's a little bit tight and it won't wiggle through, you can use a pair of pliers to do that. And so you're just going to work your thread around. That has actually gone up through that gold bead, so I'm just going to take it through the one next to it, and then through the silver one there, and then we can go back down through the Baroque pearl and through one of the silver beads underneath. So all you're doing is you're just weaving your thread through, because I know I get a few comments about, oh well, withstand wear and tear? And the fact is, the more that you weave your thread through, the more that you take your fire line through these pieces, the more that you're going to have a secure piece of jewellery. So then I'm going to just take my thread back through here, and I want to find the hole in the pearl, because we want to go right the way through the centre of it. So you can see I'm doing that. So it comes out the other side. Then you're going to do exactly the same thing on the other side. I need my pliers there because it's very warm in here and my hands get a little bit slippery. And then you're going to take your thread through underneath, and then you're going to weave that up through some of the other beads in the brick stitch that you did earlier, so that then that stays really nicely, tightly and securely in the center of this brick stitch design. Okay, and then when you finish, you can just trim off your working thread and your tail thread, and then you'll be ready to begin to attach this to your cuff bracelet. So let's have a look at the cuff. So this is a domed cuff. I really like the shape of these. We do actually have flat cuffs in stock as well, but I prefer the domed one, so you choose whichever one you think works best for you. And we're going to be using some of this S-Lon cord. So it's quite a silky looking cord. It's nylon, but it looks very, very silk-like. And I'm going to begin by taking the end of the cord and just holding my thumb around about here. So we're going in about 6 or 7 centimeters into the edge of the cuff. And then what we're going to do is you're going to just actually make sure that the end of that cord is just on the edge, just probably about ½ centimeter up from the edge. And so that you can capture it, hold it really firmly with your thumb. You're going to start binding over this so that the cord can't come undone, and you're going to do this really tightly. So I'm pulling very, very tightly, and as you're binding, you want to make sure that you're covering all of the gold of the brass so that you can't see it through. Now there's 70 meters on this piece of cord, so this is going to cover probably about 3 of these cuffs. So as you can see, I'm just going to sort of track back a little bit, and even though you can still see through, we're going to go to the edge and then we're going to go work our way back, and as we do, we're going to cover up those bits so you won't see any of the golden bits of the brass. So you're going to keep binding and go to around, I wouldn't go any further towards the end than about 5 or 6 centimeters, because it has a tendency to slip off. So you want it to stop around that point, okay? And then you're going to keep wrapping back all the way along to the other end, and then you want to take your thread right back to the middle. So I've got one that I have already wrapped, and I've just stuck a piece of a sticky label on that to hold that in place. So you can see that our thread is right in the center. The reason for that is we don't want to see this end thread. We want it to be covered up because we're going to glue it down. So just keep that in place again with a piece of, so you can use a piece of sellotape, or if this is just a piece of sticky label that I cut off. And then I'm using my Vivi Quick Glue. So I love this for anything where you're using textiles or cord. It's got this instant adhesion, very quick, but also very, very sticky. So be careful with your fingers, okay? Don't get your fingers stuck to it. So peeling that off. And then if you do see any of the glue, it won't be visible because our centerpiece is going on there. So I'm going to just place a drop on there, and then just use your thumbnail or a piece of wire just to stick that down, and that literally sticks very, very fast, super fast. It doesn't smell either, that glue, which is another bonus. So there we've got our cuff all nicely wrapped up and very, very tidily done, but also very securely done too. And then when you're ready, you can start to attach your centerpiece. So I will start to do that now, and I'll show you how to sew it on. So we're going to attach this centerpiece by sewing it to the cord, and this cord is brilliant for putting your needle through. It goes through very, very simply. So I'm going to cover up that blob of glue there with our beautiful circular brick stitch centerpiece. And earlier on I said cut off the working thread, and I shouldn't have said that. So you really do need the working thread to be able to attach it to the cord on the bracelet. So if you've still got your working thread on, good for you, use that. If not, just attach some new fire line to your piece by just tying it at the back, because you won't see the back at all. So I have my thread, it's coming out of the back. So I'm going to place it on here. Now you can actually just lift these things up so you can actually see underneath as you're sewing it on. So I want to make sure that you get it absolutely bang on the center. And then, so as you can see, I've got my thread. I'm just going to take it through some of the threads on the S-Lon. To help you, you can use a pair of pliers just to pull your needle through if it's a little bit tough. And then you're just going to work your way around by lifting up the edge of the beads and take your thread through. Take it through one of those Baroque pearls, like that. This is where the needle gets very bent, but that's okay. That's what the needles are for, isn't it? There we are. This is where you could actually use some of our curved beading needles, the John James ones we've got. We've got lots of curved ones. So you're going to keep taking your needle through the S-Lon and then up through the beads. So grabbing bead wherever you can. Let's go up through that Baroque pearl there, because what you want to do is you want to make sure that the pearls are caught onto the S-Lon as well as the other smaller beads. So I'm just going to keep doing that, keep working round. And then that will make sure that our centerpiece stays in place. The good thing about cuffs and bangles is, unlike things like rings and pendants, they don't really get much wear and tear, because this is going to be on the front part of it. So when you're wearing it, it's mainly the edges of the bracelet or the back of the bracelet that's going to get the wear and tear. The front part of it won't. So that is all you do. So you just need to keep on sewing to attach this fully so that's rock steady on the front of there. And that is our finished article, and it really complements the blue with the gold and the pearls and the silver. Just a really pretty bracelet, and I hope you've enjoyed watching how to make it. So thank you for joining us, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the project, and I hope you'll make your own S-Lon cuff. If you'd like to continue to view our other tutorials that are coming up soon, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Also have a look in the show more section, where you'll find all of the links to our website and the ingredients you'll need, plus loads and loads of other beautiful jewellery making components. Thanks for watching, and see you again very soon.